of it. We all know our sun sign in the 60s and 70s and 80s. That was a good pickup line. What is your sign? We want to go a little further than just knowing what your sun sign is. There are many aspects to your personality and that sign that ring true and that can inform you about who you are. There is your moon sign, your ascendant, and your sun. Those three, that triad together, really give you a full idea about who you are. Your sun sign is the way that you present yourself to the world. That ascendant is the way that people will interpret you and experience you and see the way that your personality is. The moon sign is the way that you feel. That's that thing that's inside, that's deeply protected, that you don't really expose to anybody. So our astrological spotlight is this question: what is your rising sign? What does it mean? And how can you find it? So your rising sign is known as your ascendant, okay? It's the zodiac sign that was rising on the eastern horizon the moment you were born. It can be abbreviated on a birth chart, and it can look like an ASC or an AS. And in order to know when you were born, you need to know the exact time, and that will give you a fuller understanding of your birth chart. And a great site I like to recommend is cafeastrology.com, and you can go on there and type in free natal birth chart, and you will get your birth chart. But it's very important to know the time and the place that you were born. And in that birth chart will be this magical rising or ascendant sign. Very important to have a better understanding. So the way that we work with the ascendant is to understand that it's the mask that one wears in public. It's the first impression we make when we meet new people. Often, if you're confused about the way that others have described you, it's because what they're describing is what they're really seeing, and it's this aspect of your personality. The ascendant takes part in your appearance and your personality, going as far as influencing physical characteristics. So sometimes the sign is expressed by your image, your style, and your mannerisms, and it's expressed in the way that you act. It really takes a stronger effect, some astrologists theorize, after 30. Okay, so it's very important to understand. It's one of the first personality traits that you will exhibit. It's kind of your autopilot. It responds to your environment and gradually becomes more noticeable over time. The two signs, that sun sign and your rising or ascendant sign, will eventually blend and create the outer layer and the inner layer that encloses the moon sign deep inside. Remember, we talked about the moon sign being the way you feel, and the fact that that's the thing that we like to hide. We don't really want everybody to understand the way that we feel, so we hide that. So it's very important to understand that. So like other zodiac signs, they all have attributes. Fire signs like Aries, Leo, Sagittarius all appear energetic, optimistic, and enthusiastic. They usually appear friendly and non-critical, and they generally do well with others in social gatherings. So those are your vivacious, outgoing people. So when you see someone that may be a Taurus, but they feel really outgoing, not so much like an earth sign, what you may be dealing with is a rising sign of a fire sign. So your earth sign, Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo, they usually come off really practical and secure. These are the people that are really focused on home, comfort, money. Now, we all love that stuff, but when you're dealing with an earth sign, those things really, really matter. They may be a bit shy or cautious or come out serious. So that's something to know about them. Air signs like Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius are fantastic at communication. They are perceived as sociable and friendly, if even a little bit too independent, okay? So guys, I am a Gemini rising myself, and that's why we're talking today, because that's what I was born to do, was to talk. And so that's what you'll notice with the air signs. They're very loquacious, a lot of words, great interaction, usually a diverse group of people around them because they're fast. They're stimulated by accents. That's another thing to know. Stimulated by accents and stimulated by new ideas and new cultures. Water signs of Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer are seen as emotional. These people are the deep, intuitive, feeling people. These people usually hide their true feelings and feel the need to protect themselves from the world. How they present themselves to the world is done for effect, so they don't ever feel at risk. That's really important to a water sign, to feel protected, because they're very vulnerable. Okay? Think about some of the things that are swimming around in the ocean, and they don't have, some of them don't have protective coverings or skins. Some, like crabs, do. But if we're talking about fish or other, sea mammals, they're very soft and easy to penetrate. And that is the aspect that does go with those water signs. So that is a little bit of astrology spotlight for this week. Next week, we'll go into our moon sign and understand how it makes us feel, how it affects us, and how we might manifest that in our lives. I also want to take time in the show to illuminate the attributes of various angels. I talked about that in the beginning. I communicate with angels. When I first did that, my friends and family thought I was crazy. Why are you in the car having a conversation with an angel? My best friend said to me. Have you lost your mind, Monette? And she knew me to be a very rational, sane person, interested in all of my frou-frou stuff, as she called it. But she knew that I was pretty grounded here on Earth. I was surprised when my angels started working with me too. It may take you by surprise when they begin to work with you. And so what I've done is I've taken the time to kind of get to know them. And that's what I want to do with you today, is share that. Most of us have heard of a few of the main ones. There are many more. Knowing the names and the specialties really helps to grow the relationship between you and your angels. So this week we will be going to the P.O. Box of Gabriel. And we are going to get illuminated. Even though Gabriel is an angel that you're familiar with, he is near and dear to my heart. This is my road dog, okay? He's with me everywhere I go. But before we move on, just allow me to address the pronoun situation. There's Gabriel's bell. Allow me to address the pronoun situation. He versus she. Angels manifest themselves to you in whatever way you are comfortable with. So in my logical mind, I don't really believe that there is a gender. I think that we assign that because it's how we are comfortable associating energy. I say he when I'm referencing Gabriel, but you will do what is appropriate for you. It's time to get illuminated with Gabriel. So, Gabriel's wheelhouse is the power of communication and being the official announcer of Jesus the Christ. You know, from the Christmas story, fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you, and you shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And guys, from this moment on, Gabriel has had the distinction of being the protector and champion of children and mothers. He helps support and honor mothers' intuition. So those moments when you're like, I know my teenager is not where they told me they were. And you just know it, and you call and they say, how did you know? You and Gabriel are having a conversation. You already know Gabriel. Or for those mothers and parents, fathers, aunts and uncles that are hovering over children that may be ill or sick in hospital, and they're praying and asking, just pull him through, just pull her through. Gabriel is in your midst. That is Gabriel's job. It's not all serious work and important work like that. Gabriel has a sense of humor too. He is a fantastic communicator, adept at providing you with downloads of valuable information. Like prior to that heart-to-heart that you have to have with that family member you've been dreading, Gabriel's the person to talk to. He will help you find the words to make sure that both of you come out having heard the message that needs to be given. He assists all writers, artists, communicators with channeling inspiration for their projects as well. One of my favorite attributes is his propensity to appear in human form. This is his sense of humor. Have a conversation with visionaries who are on the brink of giving up on a long-held dream. See, they'll be fully engaged in a conversation, and there are these testimonies of people saying, someone just appeared out of nowhere. I was sitting by a lake and I was by myself, and my manuscript hadn't gone through, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to throw it into the pond. This is it. I absolutely am not getting anywhere here. And this person just appeared like out of thin air. That is Gabriel. He'll have a conversation with this person and encourage them and tell them, do not give up on your dream. And even tell a story about his own life where I once had a similar thing happen. And you will not have mentioned a word to this person, and they won't know the story that you are carrying in your heart and that you're mourning over. But he will absolutely come along and have a synchronistic story like yours. He'll share that with you, and then you'll look away for a moment, and he disappears back into the thin air he manifested from. That is one of Gabriel's favorite magic tricks. So if you had an encounter with a mysterious stranger who just happened to uplift you, you might have met my dear friend, Gabriel. I introduced him first, even though, like I said, he's one of the more well-known people, because as we wrap up each week, Gabriel has a message for you. He kind of wanted to be in the show. It's called Gabriel's Gab. This will be just a bit of insight into some of the themes that may arise in your life. So whether or not you're a parent, mother, father, or a creative hoping to hear a word, you never know what Gabriel has in store for you. So this week, we're going to get into the message and pull a couple cards and really see what is going on with Gabriel. So the first card that comes up is ask for what you want. This is so important. Clear communication with yourself and with God is always the key, friends, to help others really understand where you're coming from. It also speeds up the process of prayer. I really like this as it ties back nicely, thank you, Gabriel, into the practical tip number 1. What are you affirming? Asking for what you want with clear communication and not what you don't want is the key to expedient manifestation. So let's say you've had a relationship and it didn't go so well, and you think, okay, God, well, that was not my Prince Charming, and I don't want someone that doesn't pick up their socks, and I don't want someone who always leaves the milk half empty, and I don't. See, that's the energy you're putting out is of don't. And that is heard in the universe, and it just hears the thing you didn't like, because what did we talk about? You put a lot of seasoning into that. Don't ever send me anybody who's like that. I will not tolerate that anymore. That's very well seasoned, friends. Pay attention to your seasoning level and adjust your seasoning. Maybe shift it to another dish. Let's try this. I'm so grateful that I have somebody who loves to pick up their socks. In fact, he does laundry and he folds the laundry. I love that he's always making sure the grocery list is fully checked and there's never anything in the fridge that I don't want. Maybe that's a different way to approach it. So asking for what you want is very important because it shifts it from that negative to the positive. The next card is authenticity. Trust that you are your real self and that God created you divinely and perfectly, and you have the strength and knowledge needed for the situations that come up in your life. Sometimes we doubt ourselves. Sometimes we feel like we have to shrink and be someone different in order to be loved, to be accepted, that we have to hide our greatness and our light in order to fit in with other people that have forgotten their divinity. You never have to do that. You are never in that position. God is supporting you in all ways and communicating with you at all times. On my way here today, full of a little bit of nerves, I'll be honest with you, wondering how this would all go,